Mother Earth, Mother Nature, Mother Lode, Motherland, Mother Ship, Mother Tongue, Mother Hen, Mother's Milk, Mother of God. God the Father, Father Time, Founding Fathers. The most ancient root of the word Father appears to make reference to a supreme deity. Hence the first line of the Lord's Prayer, which reads, "Our Father, who art in heaven." The English word mother, in contrast, is based on the ancient Iranian word ma, meaning breast, which formed the word of madar, meaning breast haver. Madar became mater in Latin and eventually mother in our language. The long-standing cultural practice of viewing fathers as godlike authority figures to be feared and mothers as nurturing figures to be adored has grown from primordial roots. There are exceptions to this rule, which serves to subvert these ancient paradigms. Mother Superior, Mother Church, Father Christmas. With both mothers and fathers, however, the connection between ancient patterns of procreation and modern modes of parenting remains tenuous at best. In recent years, we've learned that gender identity is more a spectrum than a pair of opposites. We've also learned that two people, or even one, can balance authority and nurture in the life of a child. Even so, the ancient view that men should be godlike, powerful, and judgmental, and women should be warm, compassionate, and nurturing persists even today. The fact that people often react with disdain when a woman embodies an authoritative role rather than a nurturing role suggests that mother figures symbolize something profoundly important to us. In my view, it represents a fundamental desire that pervades every aspect of our lives. We want to be loved unconditionally. We want to be cared for, especially in times of need. If you look at the state of the world today, and especially the proliferation of violence on the one hand, and the epidemic of loneliness, depression, and despair on the other, you could make a compelling case that our biggest problem is too much authority and not enough nurture. Regardless, all of us encounter times in life when we feel vulnerable and insecure. It's then that we need someone to hold us close and care for us. One of my all-time favorite collections of photographs is a series taken by the photographer Sally Mann of her 3 children, Emmett, Jesse, and Virginia. The photographs were made during warm weather over a period of 7 years on their family farm in rural Southwest Virginia. As befits the summer season, the children in the photographs often wear bathing suits or sometimes no clothes at all. The photographs document the moments most photographers and parents prefer not to see. We see images of anger, disappointment, confusion, insecurity, a technically brilliant visual chronicle of the challenges of growing up. One of the most compelling of Sally Mann's photographs, titled "The Wet Bed," shows her daughter Virginia at the age of 2, lying in bed fast asleep. Virginia's arms are raised above her head like angel wings, her legs stretched out in blissful relaxation. The night is warm and the bedspread has been pushed to the foot of the bed. Virginia is the picture of beautiful, trusting innocence. Yet there is danger in this photograph as well. The child on the bed fills only the central portion of the image. Around her lies the night, full of foreboding. And the pale stain that spreads over the sheet foretells the time when her instinctive trust in the world will be broken. The photographs of Sally Mann remind us, in the words of one critic, that children will suffer, no matter how lovingly they are brought up. Sally Mann titled this collection of photographs Immediate Family, which I first saw as an exhibition at the Philadelphia Museum of Art in 1992. The book by the same title became a national bestseller and catapulted Mann into national acclaim as a photographer. She also became an object of controversy. The religious right objected to images of unclothed children, and others questioned whether such photos should be published of children who, because of their young age, could not give consent. Mann has gone on to produce 7 more volumes of photographs affiliated with exhibitions at the National Gallery of Art and the Corcoran Gallery in Washington, among other venues, exhibitions on landscapes, Civil War battlefields, and death, among other themes. In 2001, she was named America's Best Photographer by Time magazine, and her best-selling 2015 memoir, Hold Still, was a finalist for the National Book Award. Bringing up children always happens in that awful and awesome human tension between innocence and suffering, between love and despair. When our children awaken early and we sit quietly holding them as they rest against our shoulders, there is more joy in our hearts than we can ever capture, though we wish we could store them away for coming years when our children are far away, either in fact or in spirit. But when our lack of attention allows them to take a tumble, there is almost more guilt in our hearts than we can endure. Bringing up children, it seems, is always an interplay of love and suffering. This is what it means to be immediate family. Most children today spend substantial parts of their lives with step-parents, caregivers, and other adults who are not their biological parents. Some children are related to the adults in their homes by birth or adoption, others by love and suffering alone. Whatever the biological or legal connections or lack thereof, those adults who are present in the life of a child are the ones who can make a difference. In the sense that really matters, one need not be a parent at all to be immediate family. Whether teacher or friend or coach, mentor or neighbor or care provider, they are family who love and suffer with the children of us all. If we take seriously how children develop, we will recognize that no one makes a greater contribution to the future of humanity than anyone who loves a child. Children need someone to be there, up close and in person, to tend their banged-up elbows and change their soiled sheets, to help them with their homework and guide them through the minefield that is adolescence. They need someone to hold them tight when the thunder rumbles and read Goodnight Moon when the daylight fades. They need immediate family, but the emphasis is on the first word of the phrase, not the last. Those who are immediately present in the lives of our children become family for them. Raising children is more a matter of love and suffering than it is of genetics and physiology. It's being there that counts. This same dynamic holds true in other phases of human life. In 1994, Sally Mann's husband Larry was diagnosed with a rare form of muscular dystrophy, an incurable disease that over time causes muscle tissue to atrophy. As the disease began to progress in the 2000s, she began to document the transformations to his body caused by the disease. She called this series Proud Flesh, a term for the scar tissue that develops over a horse's wounds. A 2008 feature film about Sally Mann's life and work, titled What Remains, was nominated for an Academy Award. In the film, Mann reflects on her husband's disease and the ways in which it drew them closer. Their early relationship developed, she says, based on mutual attraction and mutual passions. As they grow older and his disease progresses, she adds, it's also based on need. Her series of photographs about her husband, Proud Flesh, calls to mind a poem by the contemporary American poet Jane Hirschfeld. She invokes that same metaphor in explaining how life's wounds can strengthen the connection between two people. In her poem, For What Binds Us, Hirschfeld writes, there are names for what binds us, strong forces, weak forces. Look around, you can see them. The skin that forms on a half-empty cup, nails rusting into the places they join, joints dovetailed on their own weight. The way things stay so solidly wherever they've been set down, and gravity, scientists say, is weak. And see how the flesh grows back across a wound with great vehemence, more strong than the simple, untested surface before. There's a name for it on horses when it comes back darker and raised, proud flesh. As all flesh is proud of its wounds, wears them as honors given out after battle, small triumphs pinned to the chest. And when two people have loved each other, see how it is like a scar between their bodies, stronger, darker, and proud. How the raised cord makes of them a single fabric that nothing can tear or mend. I've spoken to you before about University of Chicago philosopher and legal scholar Martha Nussbaum's analysis of what she calls extreme dependency. These are situations in which children or adults have mental, physical, or social disabilities that require extensive and even hourly care from others. Nussbaum points out that the way we think about the needs of children and adults with disabilities should not be treated as a special department of life, cordoned off from the needs of average people. Quite the contrary. When life as a whole is taken into account, dependency looks more like the rule than the exception. Nussbaum says, as the lifespan increases, the relative independence many of us enjoy looks more and more like a temporary condition, a phase of life that we move into gradually and which we will all too quickly begin to leave. Even in our prime, many of us encounter shorter or longer periods of extreme dependency on others, after surgery or a severe injury, or during periods of depression or acute mental stress. Most of us, perhaps especially those of us who are aging baby boomers, don't like to hear that independence is a temporary condition. Our physical dependence on others, whether intermittent in life or constant throughout it, serves as a reminder of our enduring emotional dependence. Occasionally, we may be self-reliant and independent, but mostly we are not. We depend on the nurture and compassion of others to help us make it through. None of us can survive alone, which is why our friends and family should never be taken for granted. To be sure, most of this nurturing has traditionally been done by women, and still is, whether by family members, nurses, or elder caregivers. The gendered division of labor between men as authority figures and women as nurturers has historically been insisted on by patriarchy and buttressed by religion. The good news is that our recent progress to overcome the gender binary has begun to thwart this false construct. No matter your gender identity, you can either wield authority or provide nurture, depending on what's needed. It's everyone's duty to nurture those in need, whether at the beginning of life, the end of life, or somewhere in between. On Mother's Day, we give special tribute to the nurture that gives each of us hope and courage, sustains all of us through hard times, and celebrates with us when times are good. At its best, Mother's Day is not primarily about being a biological mother. It's about making strong connections that unite us with each other, those necessary relations that give meaning to life. Even as we today acknowledge our debt to those among us who have given birth to a child, we also acknowledge our debt to those who have helped create the fine-spun web of human love and connection that makes all of life worthwhile. More than anything else, this world has been bound together by love, and it will be sustained by nurture. In the deepest sense of the term, we are all immediate family. Amen. Happy Mother's Day. I love you. May God bless us all.